First warning wasn't about the creature. It was about the silence. According to locals in eastern Kentucky, Hollow Creek never fully stops moving. Even during drought season. Even during winter freeze. People living near the water say you should always be able to hear something. Current, dripping, movement. If the creek suddenly starts to go dry and silent after dark, you leave immediately. No matter what you saw, no matter what you think was on the bank. Welcome to #Paranormal. I'm Tim Rose. Tonight's story takes us deep into the Appalachian Hills outside eastern Kentucky, where stories still circulate quietly about something living near a narrow stretch of creek in between dense forest and abandoned mining land. No official name, no confirmed sightings, just fragmented witness accounts stretching back decades. Stories about wet footprints appearing where no one had walked. Stories about voices coming from the water after midnight. Stories about a figure that supposedly rises from the creek during periods of emotional collapse. Locals don't call it a ghost. They call it a hollow thing. According to the oldest stories, it doesn't hunt people randomly. It notices grief. First documented encounter came from a 16-year-old boy named Eli Turner during the summer of 1994. 3 weeks earlier, Eli's older brother Mason drowned in Hollow Creek after diving from an abandoned railroad bridge during heavy rain. The body wasn't recovered for 4 days. Friends later described Eli afterward as emotionally detached and openly devastated. Worse, quiet. Like he was permanently listening for something nobody else could hear. That detail matters, because nearly every witness connected to Hollow Creek describes the same emotional pattern before encounters begin. Isolation, guilt, loss. People emotionally suspended between acceptance and denial. You already know this feeling. Necessarily grief itself. Dangerous numbness that follows it. Period. Reality still feels slightly unfinished. Like the world forgot to conclude. According to local stories, that emotional state makes the creek notice you. Late one evening, Eli returned alone to the bridge where Mason had died. Heavy fog hung low across the water. The creek itself was unusually calm. Too calm. That's when Eli noticed something wrong immediately. The water wasn't moving. Not slowly. Not barely. Completely still. Like the creek had frozen without ice. No current, no sound, no insects, no frogs, nothing. Just silence. And according to Eli later, silence felt physical, pressurized, like the entire forest was holding its breath. Then he heard his brother's voice, softly calling from beneath the bridge. Not shouting, not panicked, conversational. Mason had simply fallen into the water and needed help climbing back out. Witnesses later say Eli became visibly emotional during the first time since the funeral, describing that moment. Because the voice sounded perfect. Ghostly, not distorted, exactly like Mason. It's the dangerous thing about Hollow Creek stories. The entity appears frightening immediately. appears familiar, comforting, like grief being offered in physical form. Eli climbed down the muddy embankment toward the creek. That's when he saw the footprints. Wet, barefoot impressions leading out from the motionless water to the rocks beside the bank. They were fresh, human-shaped, wrong in small ways, too narrow, too long, pressed unusually deep into the mud. Whatever made them weighed far more than a human body should. Footprints stopped only a few feet from Eli, facing him. And the water behind him moved, not splashing, but rising. Eli later described the shape emerging from the creek as unfinished, humanoid, fluid somehow, like a person partially remembering how human movement works. Its skin appeared to be gray beneath the moonlight, river weeds hanging from its shoulders and arms, water constantly pouring from its body despite the creek itself remaining perfectly still. According to Eli, this thing had no visible eyes, only smooth, wet skin where the face should have been. Then it spoke again using Mason's voice. "You left me." See, that's why stories like this survive so aggressively in Appalachia. Because the real horror isn't the creature. Emotional vulnerability invisible. The fear that grief itself might attract attention. That certain places recognized damaged people. Eli ran immediately. According to his statement later, the creek remained silent the entire back way through the woods. No water, no insects, no wind. His footsteps following him beside the tree line. Wet footsteps, matching his pace perfectly. When Eli finally reached the road, the sound stopped instantly. And behind him, the creek started moving again, violently, like the current had suddenly returned all at once. Branches were snapping, water was crashing against the rocks, frogs were screaming from the banks, our forest coming back alive simultaneously. This is where the story becomes deeply unsettling, because Eli wasn't the only witness. After the next 25 years, multiple encounters emerged connected to Hollow Creek. Every witness shared three details. First, the creek always becomes unnaturally silent beforehand. Second, the entity always mimics someone emotionally important to the witness. Third, nobody ever sees its face clearly. In 2003, a woman named Rachel Greer reportedly heard her dead mother singing beside the creek during heavy fog. In 2011, two local teenagers claimed they heard a missing friend calling for help from beneath the bridge, despite him having disappeared weeks earlier. 2018, county deputy investigating illegal dumping near Hollow Creek radio dispatch claiming someone was standing waist deep in the water after midnight. The deputy reportedly sounded confused rather than frightened. According to dispatch logs, he repeatedly kept saying, "The water isn't moving." Then the radio disconnected. The patrol vehicle was later discovered abandoned beside the bridge. Driver's side door open, flashlight still on the riverbank. No sign of the deputy anywhere nearby. Officials blamed voluntary disappearance. Locals blamed Hollow Creek. But almost every story connected to the creek contains one final detail people rarely discuss publicly. Witnesses claim the entity never attacks directly. Watches you, studies you, waits. It's searching for emotional openings, why older locals avoid the creek after funerals, after divorces, and after hospital visits. Because according to regional folklore, water remembers emotional energy. Some things living near old Appalachia waterways learn how to imitate it. There's an older Cherokee story from the region describing spirits that linger near rivers carrying borrowed sorrow. Entities capable of reflecting grief back toward the living until they willingly follow it into the water. Whether that folklore connects directly to Hollow Creek, no one knows. Several witnesses independently described the same impossible sensation during encounters, feeling that the entity already knew intimate emotional details about them before speaking. Not reading thoughts, recognizing wounds. That distinction matters, because your deepest grief changes the way certain places feel afterward. Roads become emotionally charged. Rooms feel altered and permanent. Songs physically hurt to hear. Human brain already turns memory into haunted geography after loss. So when stories emerge about creekside things that mimic the dead, why do the people secretly want it to be real? It's the dangerous part. In 2021, a group of amateur paranormal investigators attempted recording audio near Hollow Creek overnight. Around 2:17 in the morning, all the ambient sound disappeared simultaneously. No insects, no water, no wind. Then one investigator began crying unexpectedly. According to the others, he claimed he could hear his dead sister whispering from somewhere beneath the bridge. The group left immediately afterward. But later, while reviewing footage, they discovered something disturbing. During the exact moment the forest fell silent, every camera pointed toward the creek briefly captured the same shape standing motionless near the waterline. Tall, wet, featureless. According to the timestamp footage, the figure appeared before the investigators themselves noticed it. Most like it had been waiting there the entire time. Still one warning quietly passed between families living near Hollow Creek. If water ever goes completely silent after dark, leave immediately. Do not answer voices coming from the bank. Don't look beneath the bridge. Whatever you do, don't follow anyone calling your name into the creek. Because according to Appalachian folklore, being in Hollow Creek doesn't drown people. It convinces them the water already remembers who they used to be. This is Eli Turner's story. What's yours?